Blog Talk Radio.
Looks good and it's on. Roger. ACS arm switch is on. Okay, Victor. Landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Inboard and outboards are on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Number 3. Get your pitch to 0. Pitch it out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Altitude is off. Trip selected. Emergency. Flight calm. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the super-states that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
I appeared before the Congressional Committee to tell what I knew of activities which I believe might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. The consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government, which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world and of the United States itself.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision the UN standard.
I had planned another closing message, but I feel compelled to say what I'm about to say. Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
On the outskirts of the national capital today, black limousines which darken the windows converge on a hotel where private security guards impose ironclad control. The limos carry royalty, political power brokers, and industrial titans to a secret meeting that will last all weekend. It's known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
Money from our treasury is now being spent for this effort. We will have a new currency and a new constitution modeled on the Soviet Union's constitution. Our rights will not be inalienable, but they will be granted by government who can also take them away. This is terrorism of the most worst kind. brought on you by our own government. The strongest, freest nation in the history of mankind will be averaged into world communism.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order. It is a big idea. A new world order.
A new world is emerging. It is a new world order. The new world order is emerging.
New world order can be created. New world order.
The new world order.
New world order. The new world order.
The new world order.
New world order. New world order.
New world order.
A new world order.
And the hope that each of us has to build a new world order.
Движение в другом направлении, к новому мировому порядку.
I think even that does not describe why the world has changed so much and why the world has turned so much towards a new world order and a new kind of civilization.
France intends to proceed together with all people of goodwill around the world, this battle to build a new world order of the 21st century.
It's about the defeat of Europe and a new world order. A new world order.
The new world order.
New world order.
A new international order.
New global order.
President Obama and British Prime Minister Gordon today calling for a new world order.
Is this some sort of a new world order, which Gordon Brown kind of alluded to?
God is setting up a new world order, and his plan includes you.
In an era of globalization, of political interdependence, where the world is ever more swiftly opening up, and the cliché about a global community becomes an economic, political, often social reality. In this new world,
British Prime Minister Brown today declared a new world order is emerging. We want to know what you think, so our poll question is, are you excited that a new world order is emerging, or are you concerned about America's sovereignty?
What is this new world order all about? It is about a reversal of the American Revolution. American Revolution was a bunch of farm kids and get them working in blacksmith shops and working at other jobs, standing up for the greatest army on earth in places like Lexington and Concord and saying to the whole world that forever, no matter what happens, we Americans will decide here and decide for ourselves our own destiny. The New World Order is the reversal, the overturning of that revolution. That's what the end goal is. America's a rich province, part of their New World Order. But I give you my word, if ever I stand up on that east wing of the Capitol and take my oath as President of the United States, when my hand goes up, their New World Order comes crashing down.
everybody. Joseph Gibson podcasting here, live, understanding the times in which we live today. Okay, what do we got here? I had to kick a few people off the phone line there. More people that listen, just download the link and listen. Don't call in. I'm pretty much getting done with live callers. They pretty much don't have too much to say. I mean, I just kicked 6 people off the phone board here. I mean, it wastes my time. But the vaccination thing is the big thing now. The vaccinations, can they vaccinate everybody forcefully, and can the government, forcefully vaccinate people? Well, a 1905 decision provided a powerful and controversial precedent for the flexing of government authority. In 1901, a deadly smallpox epidemic tore through the Northeast, prompting the Boston and Cambridge boards of health to order the vaccination of all residents. But some refused to get the shot, claiming the vaccine order violated their personal liberties under the Constitution. One of those holdouts, a Swedish-born pastor named Henning Jacobson, took his anti-vaccine crusade all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The nation's top justice issued a landmark 1905 ruling that legitimized the government's authority to reasonably infringe upon personal freedoms during a public health crisis. Okay? By issuing a fine to those who refused vaccination. A smallpox panic and a $5 fine. Here's a copy of an old flyer here I'm looking at, signed by a bunch. I can't really read. It's old. Certificate of protection from smallpox. Papers, please. Papers, please. I guess you got a little certificate you had to walk around with. It says a certificate of protection from smallpox filled out by the United States Marine Hospital Service from John Donaldson, traveling aboard SS Chalmette to New Orleans, Havana, Cuba, July 18, 1902. The New York Historical Society images. In 1901, the city of Boston registered 1,596 confirmed cases of smallpox, a highly contagious fever including illness infamous for causing a severe rash on the face and arms that often left survivors scarred for life. In Boston alone, 270 people died from smallpox during the extended 1901 to 1903 outbreak. That's why public health officials in Boston and neighboring Cambridge issued their compulsory vaccination orders, hoping to reach the 90% vaccination rate required to herd immunity. Jacobson, who served as the pastor of a Swedish Lutheran church in Cambridge, had been vaccinated against smallpox in Sweden when he was 6 years old, an experience that he later said caused him great and extreme suffering. So when Dr. E. Edwin Spencer, chairman of the Cambridge Board of Health, knocked on the Jacobson's door on March 15, 1902, the pastor refused vaccination for himself and his son. A few months later, Cambridge was in a full-fledged smallpox panic, with the city ordering the closure of all schools, public libraries, and churches to stem the spread of the disease. Police officers accompanied health officials like Spencer, who went door to door, vaccinating as many as 100 people a day. But while the Cambridge vaccine order was compulsory, it wasn't a forced vaccination. People like Jacobson who refused to get vaccinated faced a $5 fine, the equivalent of nearly $150 today. On July 17, 1902, Dr. Spencer issued a criminal complaint against Jacobson and other anti-vaccine activists to collect that $5 fine. Jacobson goes to the court in administrative vaccination uproar. The broader battle over the validity of vaccination science reached a fever pitch during the smallpox outbreak. Anti-vaccination groups citing alleged cases of death and deformity from bad reactions to smallpox vaccine called the compulsory vaccination the greatest crime of the age, claiming that it slaughters tens of thousands of innocent children. In response, newspaper editorials characterized the smallpox vaccination controversy as a conflict between intelligence and ignorance, civilian and barbarism. The New York Times dismissed anti-vaccine activists as a familiar species of cranks who were deficient in the power to judge science. It was against the heated backdrop that Jacobson fought his $5 fine, first in a state trial court and then by appeal in the Massachusetts Supreme Court, Judicial Court. Jacobson wanted to present evidence that vaccines themselves were dangerous and ineffective, but the judges wouldn't hear it. Instead, Jacobson's chief argument became compulsion to introduce disease into a healthy system is a violation of liberty. Specifically, the personal liberty he believed was guaranteed by the U.S. and Massachusetts constitutions. The highest court in Massachusetts also rejected Jacobson's claim, siding instead with the authority of public health officials to determine the best methods for fighting an epidemic. Not ready to give up Jacobson's appeal his case to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1905, where he was accompanied by officers of the Massachusetts Anti-Compulsory Vaccination Association. In the case known as Jacobson versus Massachusetts, Jacobson's lawyers argued that the Cambridge vaccination order was a violation of their client's 14th Amendment, which forbade the state from depriving any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. A question then was whether the right to refuse vaccination was among those protected personal liberties. The Supreme Court rejected Jacobson's argument and dealt the anti-vaccination movement a stinging loss. Writing for the majority, Justice John Marshall Harlan acknowledged the fundamental importance of personal freedom, but also recognized the rights of the individual in respect of his liberty may at times, under the pressure of great dangers, be subjected to such restraint to be enforced by reasonable regulations as the safety of the general public may demand. This decision established what became known as the reasonableness test. The government had the authority to pass laws that restricted individual liberty if those restrictions, including the punishment for violating them, were found by the court to be reasonable means for achieving a public good. Bottom line, there had to be some kind of real and substantial connection between the law itself and legitimate purpose, which was the public's health, safety, and welfare, as says Anthony Sanders at the Institute for Justice. The Jacobson decision provided a powerful controversial precedent for the extent of government authority in the early 20th century. In 1922, the Supreme Court heard another vaccination case, this time concerning a Texas student named Rosalind Zott, who was barred from attending public school because her parents refused to have her vaccinated. Zott's lawyers argued that the school district's ordinance requiring proof of vaccination denied Rosalind equal protection of the laws as guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court disagreed. Justice Louis Brandeis wrote, in the unanimous decision long before the suit was instituted, Jacobson versus Massachusetts had settled that within the police power of the state to provide for compulsory vaccination. These ordinances confer not arbitrary power, but only that broad discretion required for the protection of the public health. In a far darker chapter, the Jacobson decision also provided judicial cover for a Virginia law that authorized the involuntary sterilization of feeble-minded individuals in state mental institutions in the 1920s. Eugenics enjoyed wide support in the scientific and medical circles, and the Supreme Court justices were not immune. In the infamous 1920 case, Buck v. Bell, the Supreme Court accepted the questionable facts presented in the lower court cases that a young Virginia woman named Carrie Bell hailed from a long line of mental defectives whose offspring were a burden on public welfare. The principle that sustains compulsory vaccination is broad enough to cover cutting in fallopian tubes. Jacobson v. Massachusetts, 197 U.S. 11, 3 generations of imbeciles are enough, wrote Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes in a chilling opinion. The Buck decision opened the floodgates, and by 1930, a total of 24 states had passed involuntary sterilization laws. Around 60,000 women were ultimately sterilized under these statutes. Buck v. Bell is the most extreme and barbaric example of the Supreme Court's justifying a law in the name of public health, says Sanders. A lot changed since 1905, including the ways in which the Supreme Court decides if certain laws and statutes violate the individual constitutional rights. Starting in the second half of the 20th century, the Court began to recognize certain constitutional rights as fundamental, including the freedoms of speech and religion and personal decisions about marriage, contraception, and procreation. Near the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, states issued lockdown orders. that closed businesses and prohibited large gatherings. Several judges justified those restrictions by citing Jacobson versus Massachusetts, since it was the most recent Supreme Court ruling, explicitly addressing state powers during a disease epidemic, even if it was 115 years old. But in a reversal, the Supreme Court ruled in 2020 against broadly applying the logic of Jacobson to the COVID lockdown restrictions. Roman Catholic Diocese of Brooklyn, New York versus Andrew Cuomo. The court decided that the state of New York violated the constitutional rights of citizens wanting to safely gather in churches and synagogues during the pandemic. The reasoning was that the lockdown laws barred religious gatherings altogether while still allowing secular business to operate at limited capacity. Jacobson hardly supports cutting the Constitution loose during a pandemic, wrote Justice Neil Gorsuch. For the 5-4 majority, that decision involved an entirely different mode of analysis, an entirely different right, and an entirely different kind of restriction. Well, this is what happens when you forget common law, when you go back a little further in history before 1903, and you go back to the Reconstruction Act, and you go back to the original 14th Amendment, and the 14th Amendment is what enslaved us because it allowed us to be codified and under their jurisdiction, and allowed us now to have this question of where the state has more control through its statutory, stupefied laws, because we got some people sitting on a bench in black-robed priestess outfits there in Washington, D.C. that call themselves the Supreme Court. My Supreme Court is God, and God my creator, and that's what the Constitution says. The government is not restraining sin there. So for whatever have you, for the common better good. So if it's for the common better good to just lynch all 5-year-olds starting tomorrow for the benefit of society, because 5-year-olds, they have accidents in their pants or whatnot, or whatever have you, then therefore we should, if I can convince the rest of the country to lynch 5-year-olds, then for the common good, therefore that case that I just read to you, it would be better off to go ahead and lynch 5-year-olds, no matter what color they are, no matter what they are, just because it's the common good? No, of course not. But that's basically what it's saying. If I don't want to take a vaccination, you're coming at me with a weapon. You're coming at me with a needle, and I'm going to defend myself. The same thing if you were putting me in a guillotine, if you were putting a gun to my head, if you were taking a hammer to my head, or whatever have you, you are coming at me with a weapon, and I have a right to live. For God's sake, we cannot figure this out. First of all, let's look at the entire situation from the get-go to begin with. What the hell is COVID-19, and how did it originate? How did it get here? And who started this crap? Because it just didn't fall out of the clouds back last year, and all of a sudden, here comes the flu virus. Remember, it was a flu virus for starters. Now it's COVID-19. And if you ever noticed this past year, folks, how many times did you hear about the flu, the actual flu this year? None. Nobody talked about it this year, right? None of your local pharmacies, were they offering you flu shots? No. It was all COVID. Well, COVID is not the flu, right? Because that's what they're telling us. It's all one big scam. It's a big club, and you're not in it. And they're using it to beat you over the head with every single day, that same club, by telling you what to believe. So, folks, I would have to tell you right now that don't take no vaccination. Nature offers you enough health out there, and we have enough information out there that we have access to basically stay healthy. But if you want to become lazy and you want to become dormant in your society, in your neighborhood, and get sick because you picked up germs from someone else, because you weren't practicing care and consideration for your fellow man, or for what the lack of what fellow man was doing to keep himself clean, and you pick up a germ or a virus, then that's your fault. That's your fault. All right, the phone number is 657-383-0616. Anybody can call in if they want to. I'm going to go a quick commercial here. I will not play too long here on this podcast here tonight because I did have a couple guests. They did cancel. So therefore, they've canceled. So therefore, I just didn't want to stop the podcast. Let's see here. Let's play there, Mr. Jordan Maxwell. See where we go there.
I think at one time or another we've all question as to whether all that we see and are experiencing in our world has some sort of a rational plan behind it, because we understand now that both the Republican and the Democratic Party in our country are basically run by the same people. The same money finances both sides. We now know, of course, through the work of many historians who have spent their life working on research to show us that both sides of world conflicts have always been financed by the same people. And as I've said before, there seems to be a method to the madness going on in the world. We know, of course, that we cannot depend on our leaders. Our leaders are misleaders. There is a science that they're following. They have their own agenda, and it doesn't include you. What your government pays for, it gets. If you are paid to do something for the government, they will extract from you exactly what they have paid for. When we understand that, then we look at universities and schools, government-financed institutions of education, and see the kind of students and the kind of education that's being turned out by these government-financed schools. Logic will tell you that if what is being turned out in those schools was not in accord with what the state and the federal government wanted, then it would change it. The bottom line is that the government is getting what they have ordered. They're getting what they have paid for. They do not want your children to be educated. They do not want you to think too much. That is why our country and our world has become so proliferated with entertainments, mass media, game shows, television shows, amusement parks, drugs, alcohol, and every kind of entertainment that keep the human mind entertained, so that you don't get in the way of important people by doing too much thinking. You had better wake up and understand that there are people who are guiding your life and you don't even know it. And all American citizens, I think, have suspected something like this is going on. But we're all too busy trying to stay alive and live our lives. And after all, what can one person do about it? This is the most powerful government the world has ever known. They had the ability to get a hold on Adolf Hitler 50 years ago. He had a standing army, the greatest navy, air force, military, secret underworld organizations operating throughout the world. But this government got a hold on Adolf Hitler because it chose to and it wanted to. And if you do not pay your income taxes, they will find you if you go to the Amazon jungle, and they will make an example of you. They will find you and they will deal with you, and you know it. But for some reason, they're unable to get a handle on drugs and the crime in the streets for some reason.
All right, everybody, breaking news here. Let's see here. Is it mandatory? They say in July. It said it right here. According to Johns Hopkins University, there will be 490,000 new cases of coronavirus around the world on Sunday, November 22nd. In Australia, the same day, there was over 15 cases, all in a hotel quarantine. It's taken a lot of hard work and sacrifice to get to this point, but for many of us, it's things we have started to look at in our pre-COVID lives without adding the caution, of course. Vaccination speaks on the current fair on Monday. Qantas CEO Alan Joyce said the airline will likely require international passengers to prove that they have been vaccinated against COVID-19 before boarding their flight. We are looking at changing our terms and conditions to say for international travelers they will ask people to have a vaccination before they can get on the aircraft, Joyce said. Whether you need that domestically, we will have to wait and see. In the market, but certainly for international visitors coming out and people leaving the country, we think that's a necessity, as the airline says. All right. We've always planned from July next year, we'll start reactivating our long-haul international aircraft and get a lot of our people back to work, and that still looks like the plan, Joyce explained. The news about the vaccines are very positive, which I think is great for that border opening plan. Currently, all Qantas international flights, except for those between Australia and New Zealand and repatriation services that are suspended. At Qantas October AGM, Chairman Richard Goiter identified additional destinations that could see travel Australia sooner than others. By early next year, we may find that Korea, Taiwan, various islands in the Pacific, and top Qantas destinations while we wait for our core international markets like the U.S. and U.K. to reopen, he stated. Health passports. What are these? Health passports. Joyce told the Current Affair Airlines and governments that we're already looking into a vaccination passport, which would need to be carried by travelers in the future. What we are looking at is how you can have a vaccination passport, an electronic version of it that certifies what vaccine is. Is it acceptable to the country you are traveling to, he said. There's a lot of logistics, a lot of technology that will be needed to put in place to make this happen. But the airlines and the governments are working on this as we speak. I'm sure they are. They've been working on it for a very long time now. Matter of fact, let's see what their ultimate goal is right here. Let's just go ahead and play that there for you guys in case you've been missing it all these years. Let me play that for you. Here we go.
And if anybody wants to protest what we do or violate what we want, we just turn off their chip.
That's right, microchip. In 2005, Congress, under the pretense of immigration control and the so-called War on Terrorism, passed the REAL ID Act, under which it is projected by May 2008, you will be required to carry around a federal identification card, which includes on it a scannable barcode with your personal information. However, this barcode is only an intermediary step before the card is equipped with a VeriChip RFID tracking module, which will use radio frequencies to track your every move on the planet. If this sounds foreign to you, please note that the RFID tracking chip is already in all new American passports. And the final step is the implanted chip, which many people have already been manipulated into accepting under different pretenses.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their bodies.
After 9/11, I was really concerned with the security of my family.
I wouldn't mind having something planted permanently in my arm that would identify me.
In the end, everybody will be locked into a monitored control grid where every single action you perform is documented. And if you get out of line, they can just turn off your chip, for at that point in time, every single aspect of society will revolve around interactions with the chips. This is the picture that is painted for the future if you open your eyes to see it. A centralized one-world economy where everyone's moves and everyone's transactions are tracked and monitored, all rights removed. The most incredible aspect of all, these totalitarian elements will not be forced upon the people. The people will demand them. For the social manipulation of society through the generation of fear and division has completely detached humans from their sense of power and reality. A process which has been going on for centuries, if not millennia. Religion, patriotism, race, wealth, class, and every other form of arbitrary, separatist identification, thus conceit, has served to create a controlled population, utterly malleable in the hands of the few. Divide and conquer is the motto, and as long as people continue...
Planned by 1,000 years. Let's find out about these vaccinations. Let's call TWA, huh? See what happens if we can get a hold of somebody here. I doubt it, but let's try the miracle round here and see what we can get. I should have probably put that in there first, but all right here. Is that the number there? No, that's not the right number. Yes, it is. 2904. All right, 2904. There we go. All right, let's give him a call, see what we got.
Please listen carefully, for our options have recently changed. For general inquiries, please dial extension 134 for Shannon Hassan. For membership, dial extension 119. For events, extension 136. For the Texas Youth Hunting Program, extension 129. For Texas Big Game Awards, extension 123. For Conservation Education, extension 115. For Operations, extension 112. To reach David Yates, dial extension 111. For David Brimiger, dial extension 113. For Keita Hill, dial extension 112. For Meg Guerra, dial extension 117. For Kristen Parma, dial extension 119. For Mimi Sams, dial extension 136.
Oh, my
For
Lord.
Chris Mitchell, dial extension 124. For Brian Jones, dial extension 127. For Kim Hodges, dial extension 129. For Kara Starr, dial extension 123. For Cassie Sheffer, dial extension 115. For Eleanor Dean, dial extension 114. For Ileana Pena, dial extension 137. To reach Leslie Wittenberg, please call 512-680-6000. To hear these options again, press 0.
Oh, my Lord.
Once again, thank you for calling the Texas Wildlife Association.
Oh, man, I wouldn't want that. I want the airport. Jeez, my goodness. How the hell did I get in touch with you? Good Lord. Hang up on them quick. Get rid of them. Man, I didn't want them. I wanted to freaking call the airport. See, the Internet, you can't believe nothing on the damn Internet anymore. All right, I got the TWA here. Let's go. That was a winner there, huh? Dial 185 233 454 5554 All right, here we go. 839. I'm trying to call TWA to find out if I have to have a vaccination before I board a plane. That's what we want to find out, right? 9453. All right, here we go. That should be my right number here. Let me verify it here. 839. All right, here we go. Let's dial it up. Give him a call. Why not? What the heck here.
Please listen carefully, for our options have recently changed. For general inquiries, please dial extension 134 for Shannon Hassan. For membership, dial extension 119. For events, extension 136.
No, that's the same one. How could that be? All right, well, I got another one here. Hang on here. That was, so that, see, you can't call them. Where do they get these numbers from? They just make them up? All right, here we go. We got another one here. I'll do my due diligence here. There we go. I'll try connecting. No, I'm not going to connect right now. Here we go. 06. All right, let's call.
Welcome to the TWA Hotel. If you're
there we go.
Reservations for the hotel or our food and beverage outlets, please visit TWAHotel.com, the only place to book overnight and day stays. TWAHotel.com also has the most up-to-date information about our amenities, restaurant hours of operation, directions, parking, and event space. For questions about hotel reservations, dial 1. For events, meetings, and group sales, dial 2. For the Paris Cafe, dial 3. For the Sunken Lounge, Connie, or the Pool Bar, dial 4. For the Fitness Center, dial 5. For billing questions, dial 6. For all other inquiries, please remain on the line.
TWA, folks.
If you would like to make or modify a hotel reservation, visit TWAHotel.com and click the Book Now button. For other questions, please remain on the line for a team member. like to make or modify a hotel reservation, visit twahotel.com and click the Book Now button. For other questions, please remain on the line for a team member.
You wonder why nothing was done. Number here. People that are angry. See here. Write that down. I'll put these people on. That's this thing. This is what you got to do. It's a long process. All right, here we go. Let's try this. Okay, we'll put you on hold. What we'll do is we'll contact this number here. I'll check back with him here. I'll keep checking back and forth, you know.
For other questions, please remain on the line for a team member.
You keep telling me that. Damn team member. I'll punch this number in while I've got This is insanity. Put him on hold. All right, here we go. Let's dial these people. This is customer service. Usually people that answer the phone can't help you. Hello? 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 Somebody picked up. Hello? Hello?
Other questions? Please remain on the line for a team member.
I wouldn't. They went and picked up on me. Here we go. All right, 212-7999. Can't get a hold of anybody. Here we go. Try them again. I think we had bad connection. Hello? 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 790-3730. Hello? No? No good? Not good? Hello? How come nobody's answering the phone? Okay, they hang up again. So that's a dummy number, obviously. That's for customer service, by the way. All right, so let's see if we go back here again. We're still on hold.
Modify a hotel reservation, visit twahotel.com and click the Book Now button. For other questions, please remain on the line for a team member.
I haven't been waiting. All right, let's try another one here. How do you get a hold of it? Contact general information. Went from the airline to the hotel to the wildlife preservation thing. This will get you another. Let's go Wacky Batty here. It's going nuts here. Let's try this one here. Let's try. All right, shut this. Shut up. Get off of there. All right, let's try. Let's see. All right, let's try this one. Here we go. Let's try this one. See what we get. Contact. All right, bam. All right, we might have something here. All right. Let's see. For general information, call us. Okay. Well, we just did that. No, that's the number we're on the hold with. There's nobody there. All right. Let's see here. Let's try this. So you can't get a hold of anybody. Contact us at the bottom of the screen. Let's try that one. This gives you the same number again. Well, let's try this phone number here. Let's try this one. Oh, boy. Let's see here. Then you wonder why things are so broken. It's just crazy. No, that's the same number I got there. Hello? Hello? Hello, 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 hello. Oh, they're jamming. Can't get a hold of anybody. Insanity. Insanity at its best. Welcome to the New World Order. Let's see here. let's call this show up, this Blog Talk show. It seems like they got more going on than I do, so we'll see here. Let's see here. There we go. All right, get that in there. All right, live internet radio. Oop, here we go. Hang on here. Let's call this show and see what's going on. All right. Come on. Get off here. I need to get the spaces out. I copied and pasted. All right, let's call this show. It's a good show, actually. It's Tim Taps. Let's see what's going on with him. Oh. Call was not answered. Oh, why? Why? Dial again. Call failed, not answered. Why? I don't understand why. It doesn't make any sense. All right. I can't get a hold of anybody now. 347. Bear with me, everybody. Bear with me. It's hanging on here for dear life to the great podcast show here of all time, Blog Talk Radio. Understand the times in which we live today. Here we go. 347. Ain't nobody gonna listen to this. 347. Where'd it go? 347-426. 426 3. All right, here we go. Let's try this. Bam.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Are you concerned at all about the appearance of the courts in these cases where they seem to have preferred to find any excuse not to even hear some of these challenge cases? Does that bother you at all, or do you think that was probably appropriate for the courts?
Well, I think at the bottom, especially as the federal courts, I think for the most part, I think the Pennsylvania and Wisconsin suits were correct suits. The problem is, what is the remedy? I think, and I wish the courts would have done like Justice Thomas. And even in rejecting these suits, which ultimately I would have, if I were a judge, I would have ruled, I said, this is unconstitutional, but I can't say that the remedy is to overturn this election. I'm a federal judge, and I'm sitting here, and this should have been done at the state level. But I would put in an opinion so that the people could see what I'm saying, as Justice Thomas did about this. Put it in an opinion rather than just, like you say, think of any excuse to sort of badmouth the claim. These claims were actually, a lot of them were very good claims. They just didn't have a remedy or enough proof of, are you going to, let's face it, you're going to bring in 1 million witnesses. It's very difficult as a judicial administration matter to go re-litigate an election at that level. That's my problem as a lawyer.
All right. Well, I definitely we're quickly running out of time, John, and I don't want to shortchange you. I want to talk a little bit about the new podcast. I mean, we've talked about the book on your last couple of visits, and definitely still want to send people that way if they haven't got a copy of Postgate yet. You need to. There's a link in the show description here that'll take you to Amazon where you can get it, and I'll give John a chance to give you all of his preferred places for you to go if you like. But the podcast has been going on for just a little bit now. What made you decide to bring your Watergate expertise to the podcast forum, and how's it been going so far? What's been the reaction?
I'm real gratified by it, because I will tell you this: if your listeners listen to podcast 1A and the second episode, which is 1B, which are really teasers, but they talk about what I'm going to do, and if you listen to those, and if you're not entranced, then you shouldn't go to the next ones, but you will be. And what made me do this was I realized that some people just don't have the inclination of the time to read thick factual books like I wrote, which I love to read myself. I love nonfiction. But I wanted to do something that was popular, that could get it out, get the message out, and have some fun with it. And I say in my trailer, look, I'm 74 years old. How much longer am I going to be around? I might as well put my thoughts down the way I see Watergate, and it's all documented. And I try to make it interesting so that people will say, hey, this is kind of fun. I didn't know this happened. And We're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Watergate, and the Post is trying to cement their story in history. It's just not true. And so, I think Winston Churchill said, lies get halfway around the world before truth gets its pants on. And so maybe this is 49 years down the line, and I'm doing this.
All right. Well, again, John, thank you so much for coming back on with us again. I really do enjoy our conversations. I hope you do at least half as much as I do. Real quick, one more time, let everybody know where they can find the book, where you prefer. Throw out your websites if you're still inviting people to follow you on social media. Anything you want to put out there for the public consumption, go ahead and do that right now.
Sure. Postgatebook.com. Postgatebook.com will get the summaries of the book, but it will also get you into the podcast and also into about 50 articles I've written about various things like Russiagate and so forth. And so it's a great place to go, postgatebook.com, and it's fun. So we'll be dealing with things that you and I were talking about tonight.
All right. Anything else you want to share before we say goodnight?
Well, I would say that's it, and keep up the good work. And a lot of this is just about dialogue and telling the truth in a cancel culture where we're dealing with people who don't want to dialogue and don't want to discuss what's right and wrong. So it makes it harder. So let's go get it.
All right. Well, keeping up the good work is my line for you, sir. In the meanwhile, once more, thank you so much, and I look forward to us getting together and talking again. I have a feeling it's going to happen. Hopefully, it'll be over some good news. So, Godspeed to you, sir.
Yeah, take care.
All right,
now.
and thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, John O'Connor. Now, I see somebody's raised their hand, and I'm sorry, I only got a few minutes left in the podcast, so I'm not going to be able to take your call, but I appreciate you wanting to be part of tonight's conversation. In the meanwhile, I do need to go ahead and give those reminders. I want to give shout-outs to the folks hanging out in the chat room. We still have Crazy Cajun hanging out with us. Green Beasley's hanging out. A good friend, haven't seen him in a little while, a great host himself, Joseph Gibson is back with us. Glad to see you there, sir. Chief's still hanging out with us, and now we have You Can't Steal My Freedom 1, which is another one of the many aliases from one of my favorite folks in the chat rooms to come visit. That, of course, Bringing It Boy. Glad to have all you guys here on a Friday night. I want to wish you all a very happy and fantastic upcoming weekend, and I believe I'm going to be back on with Ron Edwards for his Sunday Ron Edwards American Experience, unless something's changed. He talked about it when he was on with us this past Wednesday. I haven't heard anything back, but I would expect. So please tune in on Sunday about 3 over at mojo50.com. You'll get to hear him at least, and maybe I'll be there. I suspect I will be. In the meanwhile, you guys, thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate it. And, don't take my word for anything. Not one little bit. That's the challenge for you. I want you to listen. I want you to say, that's interesting. But is it true? Then go find out. Be prepared to put in some effort, and most importantly, to use your brain if you really want to tap into the truth. In the meanwhile, please stay healthy, stay safe, and, be smart out there, even if it goes against your nature. I'll be back again soon, and good night, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right, there we go. That wraps up that show. All right, that was pretty good there. There's just some other podcasts out there that, I just like to do that as a sample. So my guest canceled here tonight, so I guess we'll wrap it up. I don't have any callers here on the line here. I kicked them all off tonight, so I love doing that.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals. So
but we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority. You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children, not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-necked ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated.